Hello and welcome everyone to the Superkick Wrestling Podcast. My name is Brandon Vaughn. I'm your host. Solo podcast. I plan to get guests on in the future, but for now, just one-on-one with the great one, me and the microphone to your ears. Let's get into this. I want this podcast to be a good time talking about professional wrestling, recapping wrestling from the week, and also, big function of this show, and I'll tease it right now, is going to be my Mount Rushmore of whatever. This week, it's my favorite professional wrestlers. It'll be a daily podcast, so I wonder how long it'll take to burn through these. But tomorrow might be my Mount Rushmore of finishing maneuvers, or tag teams, or something like that. We'll figure it out as we go. I am so excited about this. I've wanted to do a podcast for years, and we're doing it now. I have been very stop on it, but we're going to be go. Let's do this every day. I'm telling you, every single day of the week, you'll be getting a podcast in your feed. Today, we're going to be recapping Night of Champions, Battleground, and Double or Nothing, and then going into that Mount Rushmore. I'll also be talking about the news and the rumors from Night of Champions, Battleground, and Double or Nothing. Let's start this off by talking Night of Champions. What did you think of the show? I thought it was alright. The Saudi Arabian shows usually deliver. The crowd was tremendous, I thought. We even saw a guy wearing a CM Punk shirt. He liked my tweet. I thought that was pretty funny. And it's becoming more of a Western audience than you would have seen when they did the Greatest Royal Rumble back in 2018. The audience is familiar with these wrestlers. They love Sami Zayn. They love Kevin Owens. They love the big baby faces. They're all about Cody Rhodes. And I think that is awesome. I like the fact that it's kind of like the whole WWE universe is its own thing. When you go to a WWE show, you're going to get these awesome crowd reactions. No matter where you go, it's going to be a hot crowd. We saw that in Puerto Rico. We saw that in Montreal. Now we're seeing that in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. What did you think of Night of Champions? We started the show off with Seth frickin' Rollins beating AJ Styles in the tournament final for the World Heavyweight Championship, and it does sound like Seth Rollins will be the first in this lineage. He will not be taking over the lineage of the previous championship, so he is the first in this line, and defeated AJ Styles in what I thought was a pretty solid match. Was it a barn burner that gave us 5 stars and everybody's going crazy over it? No. But it was a really solid professional wrestling match between two of the greatest of their generations. Seth comes out on top. I am a bit disappointed AJ didn't win. I love AJ Styles. Would love for him to get one final title. This is like the NFL MVP. I remember one year I really wanted Drew Brees to win it because I figured he would never win it again, and he had a pretty steep decline after that. Should have given it to Drew Brees that year, in my opinion. But it kind of compares to this because AJ Styles is reaching the twilight of his career. And I was thinking maybe they could give him one final title reign, one big championship, face that runs the place title reign. But no, that did not happen. So, and not to say it won't happen, but on this night it didn't. Seth Rollins gets the win. And I do think that it was probably the right call. He's the guy that they're pushing. He's kind of like the new Triple H. He's not the top guy like the Stone Cold Steve Austin or the John Cena or the Rock or, I don't know, Hulk Hogan, I guess. He's not that echelon, but he's kind of right there. And he'll probably have a million title reigns to end it, although this is his first title reign in like 4 years, which is kind of crazy for Seth. He's been doing a lot of other stuff, and now back on that championship gold living. So shout out to Seth Rollins, getting the win, new champion. Moving on, Trish Stratus beat Becky Lynch, and the big story here was that Zoe Stark cost Becky Lynch the match. She was hiding under the ring, attacked Becky Lynch, and it allowed Trish Stratus to get the win. And now we have an alliance. A lot of people are speculating about maybe a tag team match either at Money in the Bank or SummerSlam with the tag team of Trish Stratus and Zoe Stark taking on Becky Lynch and Lita when she comes back. That would make a lot of sense. They are putting a lot of stock into Zoe Stark, if that is the plan, because Trish Stratus Hall of Famer, Lita Hall of Famer, Becky Lynch, probably your most popular women's wrestler on the whole roster. So to include Zoe Stark in that, a recent NXT call-up, that is big time for her. What did you guys think of that match? Moving on, we had Gunther beating Mustafa Ali to retain his WWE Intercontinental Championship. Match went on for around 8 to 9 minutes. I wasn't sure what to expect about this. Part of me thought it may only go 2 to 3 minutes, and it would be a squash match, and Gunther would beat Mustafa Ali in front of his hometown crowd. Part of me, I'm not going to lie, when watching during the match and the ovation that Mustafa Ali got, I was wondering, are they going to put the title on this guy? But then logic stepped in, and I said, there's no way that Gunther is going to lose this title to Mustafa Ali. He'll lose it to... Who do you think he's going to lose it to? That's a good question. Maybe Braun Breaker when he comes up. But even then, he might just vacate the title when he challenges and beats Seth Rollins for the World Heavyweight title. Gunther is unstoppable. What did you think about the match? Again, I thought it was better than I expected it to be. I thought that both guys are really good in the ring. I think that both guys are really good in the ring, and that they were able to put a show on in front of the Saudi Arabian crowd. I know it was a bit short, but for what it was, I didn't mind it. I thought it was a match worth going out of your way to see, is what I'll say about that. Asuka defeated Bianca Belair for the Raw Women's Championship. This was a pretty shocking decision, to be honest with you. I thought Bianca was going to retain. I uploaded a video on this. I thought Bianca would be the next John Cena, Super Cena. I thought she would never lose. I thought she was being booked as the female or home in her hands, and I was wrong on that. That doesn't mean that she won't get another reign in the future that, gets to 1,000, 1,500 days. Who knows? But on that night, her title reign ended at the hands of Asuka. And what do you guys think about this? I'm seeing mixed thoughts on this online, to be honest with you. I'm seeing some people say that this is a, good move for WWE to have Bianca drop the title. But I'm also seeing people saying, hey, she's becoming a real ambassador for WWE. And to have her just drop it to Asuka, a program that isn't that odd, I see it. I'm kind of conflicted on it. I mean, I would have had Bianca retain, to be honest with you, and then have her loss come at a bigger spotlight, maybe at SummerSlam. It just didn't feel like that satisfying of a moment, and it should have, because Bianca Belair had a hell of a title reign, and for it to end like that, I just thought it was a bit anticlimactic. Moving on, we had Rhea Ripley pretty handedly retain against Natalya. Pretty quick match. What did you guys expect? Did you expect Natalya to do something? I thought for her sake, maybe it would be a bit better, maybe a bit competitive, get a bit of time, but no, and it looks like this is what Natalya will be doing at this point in her career, which is putting over the younger talent. Not a bad spot for Natalya at all. I feel like she's probably going to be putting over younger talent for the next 1 to 2 years, retire, work backstage, but for now, not a bad spot for her. She's a future Hall of Famer. She's a former women's champion. You can bring her out at any time to challenge for her title, and I do think it would be credible just because of who she is. So shout out to Natty, not getting the job done on Saturday. Probably will never get the job done again if I had to guess, but crazier things have happened. Something that wasn't that crazy was Brock Lesnar beating Cody Rhodes. It was a pretty big butt-kicking by Brock Lesnar. Cody was in there for some moments. Cody had some big spots where it looked like it was all over for him, and then he got his arm up at the last second, or he would kick out, or whatever, So it wasn't a bad spot for Cody. I'm seeing people say that he's been buried by this. That simply is not true. You're not going to have Brock Lesnar lose 2 times in a row on pay-per-view. That's just ridiculous to think that would happen. So obviously Brock Lesnar was going to go over, and this will set up the rematch at either Money in the Bank or at SummerSlam. Where do you think it'll happen? Could we get 2 matches out of this? Who knows? And how do you think this feud will end? And by the way, how it ended was a Kimura lock by Cody Rhodes. He didn't tap out, but he didn't submit either. He lost. That's what happened. But he didn't actually give up. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't bad. But for their next match, are they going to do big stipulation for it? Last man standing, maybe. Hell in a Cell, maybe. Steel cage. I don't know. Let me know your thoughts on that. I think it has to be a stipulation for their next one. Whether that be last man standing or Hell in a Cell, who knows? I wonder how much longer this program is going to go on for. I wonder if SummerSlam will be it, or if they could stretch it longer than that, maybe to Survivor Series. One thing is the audience is very invested in both of these characters still, so I could see them doing anything with them. But Brock Lesnar getting the win, and moving on, Roman Reigns lost a match. He and Solo Sikoa teamed up to take on Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn for the undisputed WWE Tag Team Championships. And Roman Reigns lost, did not get pinned. Solo Sikoa ate the pin. And, of course, there was some controversy here because Jimmy Uso turned on Roman Reigns. And that was the kind of it for the match. The whole Uso interference thing there. And, yeah, the bloodline is in shambles right now. Jimmy Uso turning on Roman Reigns. Jay was like, what are you doing, man? Like, this is not... Like, it's role reversal, because remember in January, February, Jay was the one that turned, although Jay didn't turn completely. It's not like Jay attacked the Tribal Chief. Jay just stopped Sami Zayn from attacking Kevin Owens. But in this case, Jimmy Uso actually makes contact with Roman Reigns, and Roman Reigns' family is crumbling right now. Who do they need? I saw Rikishi tweeting about this. They need The Rock, man. And I wonder could The Rock wrestle at SummerSlam? Probably not. Will he wrestle at WrestleMania next year? Who knows? Maybe. Could they stretch this crumbling of the bloodline to that? Maybe. I just think that there's a good vision where The Rock comes in as the one to save the family. You know, the real Tribal Chief. It's not you, Roman. It's me, The Rock. And the Usos maybe fall in line a little bit more with The Rock, too, for a bit. I don't know. I'm just spitballing here. What did you think of that? Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn getting a big spot there. Big moment for Sami Zayn coming out in front of that Saudi Arabian audience. He, of course, is of Syrian descent, and things were pretty bad between the countries up until not that long ago. Things got fixed between them, allowing Sami Zayn to wrestle in front of this Saudi Arabian audience, and it was a really cool moment. He spoke to them in Arabic. Kevin Owens had no idea what was going on. I had no idea what was going on. Nonetheless, cool spot to close Night of Champions. And let's move on to... What do we move on to, guys? Do we move on to Battleground or Double or Nothing? Let's close it out with Battleground. Double or Nothing, what happened yesterday. I thought it was a pretty disappointing show, I'll be honest here. There were a few matches that I thought would deliver, and they just did not. And I'll get to them in a second, but I will be completely honest here, did not know this was happening. The Hardys and Hook defeated Ethan Page and the Guns by submission. Since the Hardys and Hook won, Matt Hardy took ownership of Ethan Page's contract. So expect to see that, guys. The only thing that I saw for this match was that Jeff Hardy botch. You can check it out on my Twitter. I did tweet it out. It was kind of brutal, Jeff. He was stumbling around and got up to the top rope and fell down, or I don't even think he got up that high, but still weird. Anyway, Hardy's win, and Matt Hardy took ownership of Ethan Page's contract. What do you guys think about that? Do you guys care about that at all? I don't know, man. Orange Cassidy is still the international champion. This guy is unbeatable, man. I swear. This guy is like a Hogan in '86, brother. Orange Cassidy is unstoppable. The guy's had so many title defenses in a row. People are calling him one of the best wrestlers in the world, which is crazy because he's Orange Cassidy. I'm starting to come around on him a little bit. I just don't know if I ever will, though. I think a lot of the stuff that he does is just... I don't think it should be... Well, I mean, I guess if you're going to have him fight for the third championship, and I'm sorry, man, Wardlow is that secondary champion. I don't care who disagrees with me on that. Wardlow is that guy. You can tell by the placement of the championship on the show tonight. Wardlow and Christian Cage went on later than that. But Orange Cassidy wins this Battle Royal, Blackjack Battle Royal. And last eliminates Swerve Strickland, and I was hoping that Swerve would get the job done because I'm tired of Orange Cassidy's reign. I'm just not the biggest fan of his. Maybe I'm coming around on him a little bit, but I'll never be fully around on him. I don't know. I'm probably just old man yelling at clouds, but I don't care, and I'll acknowledge that. Adam Cole beat Chris Jericho, and Sabu was the special guest enforcer, but he was involved with maybe the first, 2-3 minutes of the match, and that was it. No more Sabu after that. I was disappointed by this match. This was the big match that I thought was a big letdown for me personally. I really was looking forward to Adam Cole and Chris Jericho going at it, settling their differences. The story should have had stakes with Britt Baker getting beat up. I don't think they illustrated that point well enough home. I just didn't think that they built that up enough as they should. Maybe it's because Britt Baker isn't the most likable. I don't know. I don't know, man. I could be wrong on that, but I just thought this match was pretty disappointing. Again, Sabu's interference was, his stuff in the match was pretty minimal. Britt Baker came out. Saraya came out. Adam Cole ends up wrapping a chain around his knee, knees the back of Chris Jericho's head and starts beating him up after that, and the ref rules, hey, this is unsanctioned, but the ref stopped. I don't know, man. I just was kind of disappointed. I thought this match would be one of the best of the whole weekend, and it really did not live up to that. And it sucks because I really like both of these guys. Moving on, we had FTR retaining their AEW World Tag Team Championships over Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal. And it's crazy that Jeff Jarrett's still wrestling for titles. Jeff looks in great shape, man. Jeff, I think, is in phenomenal shape. And I'm going to be honest here, guys. There was a point in the night where I had Succession going on at the same time as this, so I was kind of half watching this. FTR gets the victory over Jarrett and Lethal. That is all right, though. I wonder if CM Punk will come back and we'll get that dream CM Punk versus Jeff Jarrett match that I've always wanted. Moving on, we have Wardlow beating Christian Cage to retain his AEW TNT Championship. What do you guys think about Wardlow's reign so far? What do you think about Arn Anderson managing him? I am a huge Wardlow fan. He's easily one of my favorite wrestlers on the AEW roster. I think he has potential to be a massive breakout star for them. So getting the win in the ladder match over Christian was cool. There were some awesome spots in this. Wardlow, another thing about him is, guy has the hops. He did a front, it was like a swanton bomb thing off of the top rope through the table. That was a really cool spot. Shout out to Wardlow retaining his title. We move on to a pretty surprising result. I was genuinely stunned by this. Toni Storm is your new AEW Women's World Champion. She defeated Jamie Hayter in what was a pretty quick match. It was not long at all. We saw interference from the Outcasts. We saw interference from the baby faces, the AEW women's baby faces. And it was really quick. And I think that means that Jamie Hayter is injured, which sucks because she has a big show coming up. Wembley Stadium, all in. That is massive for her. That is a hometown, home country crowd. And I really hope that if she is hurt, which I think she is, that she heals up. Really sucks for her, but I don't hate that Toni Storm is the champion. I like Toni Storm. She was my AEW MVP of last year. I think she's great in the ring. I think she's really going to play the heel right now. She genuinely has a bit of a dislikability factor going for her right now, and I don't think you could say that about a lot of people in wrestling right now. I think she's playing a great heel. I think she's doing a better job of that than Saraya is right now. Toni Storm is a star on that roster, and shout out to her for winning the title. To be honest with you, people are gonna hate on me a little bit for this. I'm a bigger Toni Storm fan than I am a Jamie Hayter fan. Just for what she's been able to do, I seriously have been extremely impressed by Toni Storm since she's come to AEW, and I think she absolutely deserves this. House of Black, we're taking on a mystery trio. That trio ended up being who a lot of people thought it would be. They could have just announced this, honestly. It was the Acclaimed, and House of Black retains over the Acclaimed. I'm not the biggest fan of what they do in the arena for the House of Black matches. I just think it's kind of tacky, weird, over the top, an eyesore, a distraction. I like the House of Black, but I think that the goofy lighting takes away from their presentation. That's my opinion. Do you think it's enhancing the act? If you do, please let me know in the comments. I love when people disagree with me, but I just think it's massively distracting. I was not a big fan of that. House of Black obviously retain. They need a legitimate program. They did the thing with the Elite, although that wasn't really... Elite was done with them pretty quick. They need an actual... I would love to see CM Punk and FTR take them on for the trios titles. Or another... I don't know, man. Maybe they build up the Acclaimed more as... I just think that they need... AEW needs better stories. Wrestling can't carry everything, and I think WWE proved that this weekend. But yeah, House of Black retain, and I just think that was not a great setup for them. Jade Cargill beats Taya Valkyrie to retain her TBS championship, as we all expected. What we did not expect was Chris Statlander returning, and maybe some people expected that, but we certainly didn't expect her to win the TBS championship. Yeah, that's right. After Jade defeated Taya, Mark Silver made an announcement. He said, "Hey, I'm going to issue an open challenge right now." And who would come out? Well, none other than than Chris Statlander herself. Chris Statlander comes out, beats Jade Cargill for the TBS title, and man, I don't know how I feel about this. I like Chris Statlander, but for the wrestler who was just out with injury for a while, is it the best decision to immediately put a championship on her? I don't know. I think that it could have been built more. I understand that, and from all the dirt sheets and whatever they're saying, that this was supposed to be Chris Statlander's title. She was supposed to beat Jade Cargill, supposedly maybe back at All Out, but injury didn't let that happen, and Tony's paying a favor to her. I think that is kind of dumb. It didn't have to be done immediately. They could have waited a couple of weeks, or a month or so. Build up Chris Statlander more. She couldn't have cut a promo a couple of weeks ago to build this up a little bit. Say, hey, Jade eventually. I don't know, man. I would have just done it differently than this. I probably wouldn't have even had Jade Cargill wrestle at the pay-per-view. I don't know. I just think that it was done prematurely. I think they could have waited a bit. Unless, like, Jade Cargill's hurt, who knows, and they had to hotshot it. I just wasn't the biggest fan of that. MJF retained his AEW World Championship against Sammy Guevara, Darby Allin, and Jungle Boy Jack Perry in the main event. He got the pinfall over Darby Allin. There was a ton of action in this match. Very hard-hitting, a lot of crazy stuff. The thing about Jack Perry, Darby Allin, and Sammy Guevara is they're basically the same guy with different personalities, but they have the same skill set, basically. Fast, high-flying, not afraid to do the crazy stuff. That's literally all three of them. MJF more grounded, but MJF can still do some crazy stuff too. MJF, I think, stands head and shoulders above these three men. I did not think that any of them was going to get the win at any point during this match. MJF, of course, is still the champion. Big point of controversy of this one was, should this have closed the show? It didn't. It went on as the co-main event. The next match actually closed the show. This one didn't, though. And a lot of people are wondering about that, why they didn't do that. And I think it's just star power-wise. You have more star power in your main event than you do with Guevara, Darby, and Jungle Boy. And I like Darby a lot, but he's just not there. And I'm kind of coming around more on Jungle Boy and Sammy Guevara, but I'm not fully there yet. Shout out to Sammy Guevara for he'll be dad soon. Ty Conti pregnant. That was a big announcement that they made. So he doesn't get the AEW World Title, but still a winner at the end of the night. And winners at the end of the night were the Blackpool Combat Club, because they defeated the Elite in Anarchy in the Arena. This is crazy. There was blood. It was everything that you expected it to be. A lot of people may have thought this was the worst AEW pay-per-view of all time, but I think the co-main events saved it. The Fatal 4-Way and this, I thought, absolutely delivered. In the end, we had a pretty big turn. We had Takeshita turning on Kenny Omega and siding with the Blackpool Combat Club, which I think is a great spot for him. Bryan Danielson as a mentor. I like that a lot, actually, Takeshita being an addition to them. Let me know your thoughts, guys. Oh, yeah, big thing on this was Wheeler Yuta getting the pinfall over Kenny Omega to end the match. Who would have thought that? Nice spot for Wheeler Yuta there. Shout out to him. That's another guy that I'm starting to really like. And if he can continue learning under Bryan Danielson and Claudio and Jon Moxley, I think that he has a really bright future ahead of him. So shout out to good old Wheeler Yuta and the Blackpool Combat Club with, I'm assuming, their new member, Takeshita. Let's move on, guys, to NXT Battleground this wasn't really, the Double or Nothing closed the weekend, but this went on at the same time as it started at the same time. Wesley retained over Tyler Bate and Joe Gacy. I thought this was a really good opener. I thought this was better than the Battle Royal that happened at Double or Nothing, to be honest with you. Some really good just wrestling between these guys, and they knew how to work a triple threat. Whoever was agenting this match did a tremendous job. I like Joe Gacy a lot, but I would change his trunks up. Looks like he's wearing a diaper. Not a good look for a big guy. Come on, let's change that up a little bit, Joe. But Wesley retains over Tyler Bate and Joe Gacy. Wesley adding another win to his already impressive resume of victories as the North American champion. Noam Dar, pretty surprisingly, defeated Dragon Lee in a British rounds rules match for the NXT Heritage Cup. I thought that Dragon Lee for sure was going to win this match, and he would be the Heritage Cup champion, but it makes sense because Dragon Lee is, of course, Mexican, and Noam Dar is British, so it wouldn't make the most sense from that point, now would it? I'm kidding, of course, but, Noam Dar wins. There was interference there, and Dragon Lee loses this match. What's next for Dragon Lee? Maybe he'll be challenging Wesley. I'd like to see that match, guys. Let's move on to Ilya Dragunov defeating Dijak in the last man standing match. A lot of people love this match, going crazy over this match. A lot of people are saying this was one of the matches of the weekend, absolutely. And these guys are two that can absolutely deliver. I really like Dragunov. I wonder if Dijak heads to the main roster soon. Apparently, there might be a lot of call-ups after this weekend. Dijak would be primed to be called up. He already was called up before, sent back down because the whole T-bar thing didn't work. Remember that? That was ridiculous. Gallus retained their NXT Tag Team Championships against the Creed brothers. Really good tag team action here. And NXT Tag Team division is really delivering. Shout out to Gallus for retaining their titles against the Creed brothers. Do you think the Creed brothers could get called up? I would be shocked. They're guys that could use some more seasoning, but you never know, I guess, man. Let me know your thoughts on that in the comments. Big title change was Tiffany Stratton defeating Lyra Valkyria by pinfall in the tournament final for the NXT Women's Championship. It, of course, got vacated because Indy Hartwell got injured and then got called up, I believe, is what the story was there. And they needed a new champion, and Tiffany Stratton is that champion. Congrats to Tiffany Stratton. I think that she has a bright future in WWE. It was a pretty good match, and that is kind of surprising because when somebody looks like Tiffany Stratton, you don't really expect them to go out there and tear the house down. But that's exactly what she did and what she can do. A lot of people love Tiffany Stratton, getting behind her. I am a huge fan of hers, so shout out to her. Big congratulations to the new NXT Women's Champion. And to close NXT Battleground out, still the NXT Champion, Carmelo Hayes retains over Braun Breaker in the main event. Another match that I thought was pretty good. These guys are very capable of closing out a show in that form of arena audience. Shout out to Carmelo Hayes. Big win in front of his hometown. I am a huge fan of his. I think that he can absolutely continue to carry that brand for years to come. And also, shout out to Braun Breaker. I've said that I've been a Braun Breaker guy since day one, and guy absolutely delivers every single time. His heel work has been phenomenal, and I think he goes up to the main roster with this. Maybe even tonight on Raw? Who knows? We'll be covering it here if it does happen. Let me know your thoughts on Battleground. And guys, out of the 3 events that happened this weekend, what was your favorite? What did you enjoy the most? Did you like Double or Nothing the most? Did you like Night of Champions? Did you like Battleground? Me personally, I enjoyed Night of Champions more than anything, I think. And the reason being, we got a big title change with Seth and AJ Styles. I mean, obviously, we were promised a new champion no matter what happened because it was for the vacant title. I thought the ending with Roman Reigns and Jimmy Uso and the Bloodline and everything, I thought was absolutely tremendous. So big shout out to WWE, Night of Champions, I was a big fan of. And guys, let's move on to my Mount Rushmore of my 4 favorite professional wrestlers of all time. My 4 favorite wrestlers of all time. My personal Mount Rushmore. Let's start it off with CM Punk. This guy, man, I remember going to my first WWE show when I was 12 years old. You know who wrestled on that show? CM Punk against Chris Jericho. And I was a little confused why the fans were booing CM Punk and cheering the heel Chris Jericho. Well, it's because we were in Canada, obviously, so they're going to cheer Chris Jericho. I was cheering CM Punk, though. I'm a big CM Punk guy, have been since then. Loved the Straight Edge Society stuff. Loved him cutting that pipe bomb promo. Guy has tremendous matches. Broke my heart when he left, came back, and then broke my heart again, but he's going to be coming back soon, we think. So, shout out to CM Punk, the #1 wrestler on my Mount Rushmore. Number 2 on the list is going to be Bryan Danielson, the American Dragon, Daniel Bryan. Yes, yes, yes. I think he is the greatest technical wrestler of all time. I really do. It's either him or Bret Hart. Everything he does is awesome. Somebody said it during the press conference last night, and I absolutely agree with them. It's a privilege to watch him wrestle live, and I can't wait for Forbidden Door to see who he wrestles there, because it totally is just... It's awesome to see him watch him live, and especially after he retired because of the injuries before, and now he's back, and it's awesome, man. I love Bryan Danielson so much. Next wrestler on my Mount Rushmore is a guy who's also... I've 3 AEW wrestlers, good lord. Chris Jericho. Y2J. I think the guy has been able to cut some of the greatest promos in wrestling. The guy has some of the greatest matches in wrestling. The guy has longevity. The guy has a resume that can match pretty much anyone. He's main evented WrestleMania. Chris Jericho is that guy. He is definitely in the conversation for the greatest wrestler of all time. Would I say that he's the greatest wrestler of all time? Probably not, to be honest with you, but he is on my Mount Rushmore, and that's all that matters. Number 4 on this was a tough one, I'm going to be real here, but it's going to be Edge, the Rated R Superstar, one of my favorite wrestlers when I was a kid. I was so sad when he retired, but then when he came back, I mean, it sucks because in this day and age where you read the dirt sheets so much, I guess it's always been in that day and age, the dirt sheets have always kind of been around since the internet was a thing, and even before then it was newsletters, but... Could you imagine if we had no idea that Edge was going to come back, and then he came back at the 2020 Royal Rumble out of nowhere? That probably would have been pretty crazy. Although he did come back out of nowhere, I guess. But I was still, I expected him to come back at the previous Royal Rumble. I was at a show in Buffalo a few months before. The WWE crew got delayed in Saudi Arabia. I thought he might show up there. Did it happen? No, but it did happen at Royal Rumble, and Edge is just one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. Obviously, he's on Mount Rushmore right here. Number 4, let me know your thoughts, guys. Do you like my list? I don't care if you disagree with my list right here on this, because it's my personal opinion. So just let me know your thoughts, guys. Thank you so much, and keep it locked here. Daily podcast content, I promise you.